All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming to the kickoff event for Grad School Week this week at Temple University, hosted by the University Career Center. And today I have brought with me an expert from our graduate school itself to help us go through this overview of what is grad school about, what are some of the large steps that you will encounter, just to help you and start your thinking. Obviously, if you're here, you're interested in this. My name is Bob McMahon. I'm a senior career coach from the University Career Center. And with me is my good friend and colleague, Mark. Mark, go ahead. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right. Well, I'm happy to be joining you, Bob, on this call. And my name is Mark Kaloko, and I am currently the Director of DEI and Career Advancement within Temple University's graduate school. Within our university graduate school, I support primarily graduate students with navigating graduate school and also preparing for different career pathways. So I work a lot with current graduate students here at the university, but also in my role, as well as with several other colleagues within the graduate school, we also help prospective students with applying to graduate programs here at Temple University. So I look forward to being able to speak about the application process to graduate programs in general, but also to Temple specific programs. Also, I come with a lot of personal experience with being in graduate education. So I'm actually a three-time Temple alum, believe it or not. So for those that are on the call that are from the College of Liberal Arts, my bachelor's degree is in psychology, and I actually got that from the College of Liberal Arts. And then immediately after completing my bachelor's degree, I went on to study counseling psychology within the College of Education and Human Development. For some time after that, I worked in career services and was really just enjoying working with students, figuring out the graduate school process and helping them find careers. And because of that, I actually went on to pursue a doctorate in higher education because I was very much interested in just kind of learning more about higher education and how to support different student populations. So even completed a Doctor of Education in Higher Education in 2020. And with that experience, personally going through graduate school, as well as advising many students, I definitely was excited when Bob reached out about this opportunity to talk about applying to graduate school in general. So happy to be here.
Mark, I don't think there's anyone more qualified to say they're Temple made than you after hearing that. Three-time degrees from Temple University. Unlike you, I'm not as Temple made, though I did go through a similar kind of educational trajectory. I did start with an associate's degree in what was essentially radio, television, film production at Bucks County Community College. Later, I went to West Virginia University, where I earned my bachelor's degree in communications. And then much later, a master's degree at Arcadia University in international public relations, which then really parlayed me straight into Temple's media and communication doctoral program, which I actually finished, earned my degree May of this year. So now I'm Temple made, but not nearly as in-depth as you. But excellent introduction. I also work with students who are interested in pursuing graduate school, and some of our graduate students that are here that are thinking about different career paths. We provide services to all of that population as well. So there's a nice overlap, and I'm certainly glad to have your experience and your voice here with us today. So to get started, let me just give a quick overview of the agenda for this evening, or this afternoon, I should say. This is, I guess, broadly navigating the application process. And we're going to start talking through motivations, how to go about researching programs, tackling some of the application materials you're most likely to encounter, identifying a plan of action, and then, of course, helping you see what kind of resources are available for you here at Temple University, whether you're going to stay here for your graduate degree or if you're looking elsewhere. There is an abundance of resources here for you. And then, of course, at the end, we're both happy to entertain any questions that you might have at the end of our talk. Along the way, we'll have a couple chances for some audience participation because we have some questions for you as well. So I think this will be an enjoyable experience. We should be over in an hour, so not taking up a lot of your time. But first, I want to kick things off with Mark. He's going to talk to us about some of the motivations behind going to grad school.
Yeah, I wanted to start by talking about what's motivating each of you to go to graduate school. I remember a mentor I had many years ago, and he always liked to say to those of us that were in the profession that graduate school is not a plan B. It needs to be a career plan, just like pursuing even a first-time job opportunity. And the reason why is because graduate school is a major investment of time and resources. As you're going to find out later in this session, sometimes when you're pursuing a graduate program, it could be 2 years, it could be 3 years, it could be 5, 6 years of your life, of you growing in a particular discipline. And so that's a lengthy time commitment. And so you really want to consider, whether or not this is the thing that you want to do next. Also, it can cost, many times you have to take out additional loans for graduate school. It is, sometimes you have to focus very much on that particular part of your life of being a graduate student. So it's something that you really want to consider what's driving your motivation. I think that just saying that I want to go to graduate school just because I want to take some more classes, just because I don't know what else to do is not always the best motivation for going to graduate school. But there are a number of solid motivations for why someone might want to go to graduate school. I think many of those motivations probably some of you have. So we want to talk just about what are some of those really good motivations that are going to help you to really thrive and be able to succeed in completing a graduate degree. So we want to start first by talking about what are your motivations. We can go to the next slide. So when it comes to thinking about graduate school, here are some valid motivations for why someone might want to pursue a graduate degree. So one reason is that you might be wanting to pursue a particular career that requires an advanced degree. I don't know if some of you on this call, maybe you want to become a physical therapist. Well, to become a physical therapist, you definitely need to go get a doctor of physical therapy to enter into that profession. Some of you on this call might want to become a lawyer. And to become a lawyer, you have to go to law school for that particular process. So there are certain careers that you cannot enter unless you do an advanced degree. So that could be a reason for you of why it is that you want to pursue graduate education. Some of you might be wanting to pursue graduate education because it's going to make you more marketable. Some of you, like me, might have come from a liberal arts background. And while I got a good set of skills, I felt that I needed a little bit more training in a specific area to make myself more marketable when I went out into the job market. So I have seen people from liberal arts backgrounds or other types of backgrounds who said, I want to get a specialized master's degree so that when I go out into the job market, I have this particular skill. Like I've seen people say, I want to get a digital marketing degree because I really want to go into communications. And if I have that additional training, I'll be more prepared for that particular field. I've seen people even pursue writing degrees because they wanted to have a specialized skill set within writing and they thought that would make them more competitive. So maybe you want to pursue graduate school because you want to get more skills so that you can be very competitive when you do enter the job market. But perhaps you're in this last category. And I have to admit, I also fell into this last category, which is that one of the reasons I wanted to go to graduate school was because I just wanted to learn more. As I said before, I was a psych student, and I really loved some of my psychology classes. And I just wanted to keep growing in that knowledge base. I wanted to see how psychology played into counseling. So I wanted to take more classes on that and have that, help me with a career path that I wanted to pursue. So for some of you, it is all right if you really enjoy the subject matter that you're learning right now and you want to get that in a deeper way by going to graduate school. That is a valid motivation for wanting to go on to graduate education. So these are just some reasons that hopefully are motivating you as you're thinking about graduate school. So maybe you're asking yourself this question: is graduate school right for me? We have some questions here that can help guide you. You can write these questions down. You're going to get the slides after this, so you'll be able to review these later. But you might want to be thinking to yourself, what factors are motivating you to go to graduate school right now? What is driving you? What is what is that feeling that's actually saying, I need to pursue a graduate degree? And I think one that I might want to steer you away from is, I just don't know what I want to do. Just saying I want to go to graduate school because I don't know what I want to do, it might not be the best motivation for wanting to go to graduate school. Some of the ones that we mentioned before about wanting to learn about a specific discipline, or wanting to become more marketable, or because I want to go into a specific career path, those are really valid motivations for wanting to go into graduate school. Another question I want you to think about is, what are you passionate to learn about? When you start writing your personal statement, you need to be able to answer this question about what is it that you want to learn more about? Can you say what topics really draw your interest, and that's what's motivating you to go to graduate school? I think being able to answer what topics you want to learn about can also be a good question to answer. Also, you want to be thinking about what kind of graduate program do you want to pursue? So we'll talk about this more too. Are you interested in a master's degree? Are you interested in a doctoral degree? Are you interested in a professional degree, like a law degree or something within the health professions? But you need to know what specific type of degree you might want to pursue. So that's another question. And then you also want to ask yourself, will this pursuit help me to advance into a field? How will this pursuit of graduate school help me with getting to where I want to go career-wise, or what some of my goals are? That can be another question to ask yourself. So these are just some questions that will help you to clarify your motivation for graduate school. And that really helps as you continue to go through this process of getting ready to apply, is knowing why you want to be at graduate school. So if we go to the next slide, we actually will get a chance to hear from all of you based off of what we've just shared here about motivations. Think for yourself, and you can actually enter this into the chat. What is your motivation for going to graduate school right now? We want to hear from you. What is driving you to pursue graduate school at this time?
I actually have no idea. I'm kind of just trying to learn about graduate school, like what it is and what it could possibly do for me.
Yeah, and you know what? That's perfectly fine. We're not saying if you don't know that's wrong. I think a lot of us started at that point, of just not knowing whether or not this is something that we want to pursue. And hopefully, by the end of this session, you will kind of get a sense of, like, what are some degrees that you could potentially pursue. How can you look for more information if you want to pursue a graduate degree? So thank you for bringing that up, and I'm sure that resonates with other people. But thank you also for sharing here in the chat some of your motivations for wanting to go to graduate school, wanting to learn more, becoming more marketable, getting a higher paying degree. Sometimes it can help with getting a higher paying degree as well. Someone has a career goal of becoming an attorney. These are all those kind of reasons that we're talking about what might be motivating you to go to graduate school. So hopefully, if it's not clear yet, it will start becoming more clear if this is something for you. And with that, I'll hand it off to Bob.
So now, as we've been thinking through our motivations, and as all of you have articulated your different motivations, the next step sort of is, where do you want to go? You have to research where to go to graduate school. Now, this can be a complex question, actually, because there's a variety of factors that come into play here, right? Cost, location. For some, the country, the world, doesn't matter. For others, I need to stay within a particular region. I want to just be on the East Coast, or I want to be in the greater Philadelphia area. So geography can be an important factor. And also within that, do they offer the thing I want to study? Can be a factor as well. And if they do, is it affordable? or are there ways to pay for it? So this is a difficult question also, even I think in conjunction with the motivation, is just narrowing down where and what are my choices, and then the type of program in school that's available for you. Fortunately, we have some help to navigate through this. So when we think about the types of programs, and Mark alluded to this a little earlier, these fall in essentially three large buckets: a master's degree, which could be an academic degree or a professionally oriented degree. It's generally designed for employment or advancement within a specific field, generally. There is intellectual growth with that, and sometimes it's a prerequisite if you plan to get a PhD, a doctoral degree in a given field. In some doctoral programs, that's not required. In others, it is. A professional degree, you can see that listed here as a, and I should have mentioned for a master's, you're typically referring to a Master of Arts, Master of Science. In a professional degree, it's JD, Juris Doctor. That is for your law students. MD, Medical Doctor, for medical doctors. DDS, right, for the dentist. This is about practical application of knowledge and skills. It is largely in the healthcare fields and law. And then you have a doctoral degree, often seen identified as a PhD, an EDD for a Doctor of Education. Some fields have even more specific ones, like psychology has a PsyD for a Doctor of Psychology. The focus here is really about advancing knowledge through original research. And when I say original research, I mean you are going to create at the end original research. And this is driven by a deep engagement with theory and research methods. Breaking this down a little further, we can think about some more details and, most importantly, for some of you, timelines. How long is this going to take? So a master's degree, you can see generally you can look at 2 years in length. Now, this is also variable, right? It depends on the pace at which you go through it. It depends on the program itself. Some offer master's degrees in compressed timeframes where you're going to work really hard, but for a shorter period of time. Or you may say, hey, look, I need to balance this against my job, my full-time job. So I'm going to take one course a semester. Maybe I'll do one in the summer, and it'll take you a bit longer. But on average, this is going to fall around the 2 years. And as you see before, we mentioned it could be a stepping stone to a doctoral program, but it is a specialized concentration, right? So you're really going to be diving much more deeply and focused on that topic area. A doctoral degree is often referred to as a terminal degree, meaning it's the last one. There's no more after that. So for example, a PhD and EDD, this is advanced coursework. It's a lot of scholarly writing. It's the developing of your own research skills to help contribute to the discipline. You will independently create a dissertation. I mean, of course, you'll have a committee to help you through some of that, but ultimately you are going to drive the research agenda, and the final output. This can take somewhere between 5 to 7 years. Again, this is variable to a degree, but it's a longer commitment of time, to be sure. And then you have the professional degree, right? The degrees in law and medicine, other health-related fields. I think unlike, say, a master's degree or even a doctoral degree, where you could decide a few years after your undergrad, I want to go down this road, that is probably not so much the case in this area of a professional degree, especially when we think about the health fields. That requires a lot of early planning, and a real focus on that trajectory. In other words, folks that are going to go down this road, say for medicine, almost have that inkling back in high school or very early in their undergraduate program. Would you agree, Mark? Is that kind of your experience as well?
I was going to say, Bob, I'm always impressed with our students within the sciences or those that are wanting to pursue a health professions degree, because the preparation, it really does begin, in your undergraduate program, making sure that the grades are at a really good place, having those proper volunteer kind of experiences to prepare yourself, and then, starting to apply to some of those programs. So yeah, the thinking about going into the health professions has to start really early.
Yeah. Now, law, I will carve out a little bit for law. Um, they often encourage, first of all, I think very much a diversity in experiences and academics in the undergrad. It's not so much anymore, well, political science, it leads to law degree. It can be across all kinds of disciplines now. And quite often it's encouraged to wait a little bit after undergraduate before you start enrolling in or pursuing a law degree. So those are some of the subtle differences, and I'm sure we could think of some more along the way, or maybe have some questions that you think of a lot here as well. But Mark, I'm going to turn it to you to talk about some of the resources to help figure out and find these programs.
Yeah, Bob, and I actually, just before transitioning, one thing I wanted to throw in as well, I feel like you spoke to this, is another way to think about this is that there's a difference between, more research focused degrees and
Mm,
practice focused degrees. And so you should be thinking about is, do I want more graduate training so I can go and practice a particular profession, or am I interested in research? Am I interested in exploring an area of research? If you want to explore an area of research, that's where the PhD would come in. That's all about being a scholar and learning research strategies for a particular discipline. But even I've worked with a lot of students that, let's say, they want to go into counseling or they want to become a social worker. That's a master's degree that is a practice oriented degree, a professional degree. It's giving you training to become a professional to go off and do this particular task. So those differences of practice degrees and research degrees is what is another way of looking at what we talked about here.
yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
So if we move on to talking about where to look, okay. So we've been talking about these different degree programs. We've been talking about master's degrees, doctoral degrees, professional degrees, and now is a good question of just, well, where do I find programs that I might be interested in learning more about, that I might be interested in actually pursuing? One way that you can look at further programs to find out what's out there is by going to the rankings. So US News World Report is a very popular place to go if you want to see rankings for different universities. And they even have information for graduate school programs where you can see what are the top ranked programs for a particular field or discipline. And you might be asking yourself, well, why does this matter? One thing that I think we've all kind of seen is that usually the higher ranked programs have greater outcome potential for those that complete degrees there. So usually the higher the rank the program within that discipline, it can impact and help out your outcomes when you finish that program. It's possible that it works that way. So one thing you might want to do is go to a site like this. You can just Google this, US News World Report Grad School Rankings, look up your particular discipline, and you should be able to see what are the top 15, 20 programs for that particular field. And that might give you some ideas of what are some of the programs that you might want to pursue, the top programs within that area. There also are some good general sites that you can take a look at. One that we've used for plenty of time is gradschools.com. You can go to this site and actually see a lot of different types of programs. Bob and I were talking earlier about one of the things about this site sometimes is there are a lot of ads that you'll see on here. So sometimes it can be hard to kind of parse through, but gradschools.com is a good one, but also Princeton Review. If you just look up the Princeton Review's website, they actually have a grad school program finder. So you can look up a lot of graduate programs on this site too. So if you just want to get some basic information about grad programs, you can go to either of these external sites to get information. I often encourage people to also look at professional associations within their particular field. So for each discipline, there should be like a body of professionals that practice that profession. And they usually will give suggestions on programs that they think are really great. So in counseling, there's something called KCREP. Some of you will go out and find that. That's an accreditation within counseling. And there's actually a recommended list of programs that are accredited by KCREP. So you could actually go and look that up. Within public health, there is an accreditation of schools that are within public health. And you could actually look up programs according to that on that professional association's website. So you might want to think about what field you're in, what discipline, is there a professional association for it? And then maybe they might have a directory where they suggest different graduate programs. And then lastly, when it comes to researching programs, you can ask your faculty. So you are taking classes right now with people who are practicing that particular profession, and you can get their opinion. They might be able to tell you on what are some programs that they recommend that someone might pursue for graduate study. So you can ask your faculty about that. Or as you write papers, as you write different articles or different papers for assignments, you'll notice that there are these articles that you are referencing are coming from scholars. They're coming from people who are experts within your profession. So when you get to your capstone or certain types of classes, you'll start seeing all of these same names coming up over and over again that are speaking about this topic that you're writing. Well, those people that you're reading about, those individuals might be professors at an institution where you could actually study from those people. So I usually tell people as well, think about articles that you've read for class. And if you see the same names coming up, see if any of those professors, those scholars, are currently professors at an institution that maybe you could go to graduate school for. You might get to study with some of the people that you've been reading about. So these are all really good recommendations. Look at the rankings, look at external sites, look at professional associations, ask faculty, and even from your personal reading, you might get some ideas on where to look for graduate programs.
So once we've worked through that and we're narrowing down our list of schools and programs, a question is inevitably going to come up, if it hasn't already for you, which is, how am I going to pay for this? And the answer to that is complicated. There's a lot of it depends. So let's work through some of those various scenarios. Of course, personal funding is going to be, in some instances, the only way you'll be able to pursue an advanced degree. And when I say personal funding, of course, if you happen to have a tree in your yard that grows money that you can shake, that would be one. Otherwise, it is student loans. Some programs, most often master's degree programs, do not have any sort of funding from within the program compared to, say, a doctoral program, where as a doctoral student, part of your kind of compensation, if you will, is you may be teaching some classes. You may be taking classes right here at Temple where you have a graduate student teaching assistant. That person is getting their credits reimbursed, basically, by the university, and perhaps a stipend of some sort. That system doesn't really typically exist in a master's program. So that's one large distinction. And then, of course, similarly to law and medicine, that can be a variety of factors there where there may or may not be funding built into it. Another option is perhaps even working for the university. And I want to put an asterisk next to this. You shouldn't bank on that. That's not a guarantee, but it can be an option. It can be a possibility. And again, that sort of circles back to those doctoral level degrees, where as part of you going through that program, you're given a tuition remission. That was the word I was looking for earlier, and a stipend. There could be scholarships that you can go after, and other funding resources that are out there. Some places you can look into to sort of start to track these down if these are options. Here at Temple could be the Office of Scholarship Development and Fellowships Advising. Student Financial Services might have some resources to point you in, or the website petersons.com. If you work your way through there, they do have some articles that talk about different ways of funding graduate level programs. like I said, this is a complicated question, so it's important to be aware of it early and start planning for thinking about that as you go through it. So the second audience participation moment is right here. If you have an idea of what graduate degree program are you interested in? So are we thinking about master's? Are we thinking about doctoral, professional? You could drop that in here. I see Victoria, yeah, has already accelerated master's. Okay. PhD research, yeah. Yeah, online. That's something we didn't really touch on too much, Mark, did we? The method, like the mode that you could expect to encounter. And in today's day, it can be a mixture, right? It could be all online. It could be all in person. What kind of things are you seeing? You, Mark, yeah. In
You
terms
asking
of
me?
delivery, yeah.
Yeah. I think that, it really, it really depends on where you are sometimes in your life.
Mm,
Sometimes people want an online program because they're working full time, and that allows them a certain type of flexibility.
mm.
So that could be a factor. Programs that are that you have the ability to go part time could be something else that someone is considering. One thing that I do want to throw out, and I definitely have heard people say this over time, is like you want to see what is the accreditation of a
Mm.
particular program. What are the outcomes from that particular program? What are people saying about that particular program? Because that can factor in with some of the offerings that a program has. You just want to just be aware of those different things. Make sure you do that research on that program. But online is definitely something that you see people doing, and we have some of those offerings here at Temple University as well, online programs.
That's great. So we've gotten ourselves through, okay, figuring out where and what type of degree and some semblance of an idea about how to pay for it. And now it's time to really do some hard work, right, Mark? The application process.
Yes. So now that we've talked about your motivations, why do you want to go to grad school? We talked about places where you can research programs, what type of program you might want to consider. Now we're going to talk about what are some of the application materials? What are some of the materials that you need to submit when you are applying to a graduate program? And we're going to go over some of the core ones that you pretty much will go over no matter what program you apply to. So one in particular that you cannot forget is that you're going to need your resume. Sometimes you'll see this also that they're saying a CV. A CV really is an academic resume. It's a explanation of your academic accomplishments, of anything that you've done within the academic realm that speaks to your different skills. And I would say that most undergraduate students that I've worked with, whether it's a CV or not, I think that really you're putting together something like a resume. You're putting together a resume. Let's start with first trying to put together a one-page resume. And if you have experience that is really lengthy, you might be able to go on to a two-page document. But I would say that you need to put together a resume which is going to be a summary of your education, experience, and skills. That is what your resume is. It's giving your education, what experiences you've had, is giving what key skills that you have that are relevant to this graduate program. So that's also what you're doing with your document. You are trying to put together a summary of your history that is going to stand out to this admissions group that is looking at your application. So your resume is something that you're going to need when you apply to graduate school. Also, you're going to need a personal statement. And I think it's really great that there's going to be a session later this week that is going to be all about how do you put together your personal statement. But I would say that the personal statement is really you stating why you want to go to graduate school, what you're going to get out of graduate school. So I usually tell people when they're writing it, this is a document that's usually like a page or 2 pages. You really want to look at what the program is saying, how long you have to write this document. But usually it is you answering, why do you want to go to graduate school? What's your motivation? It's you sharing what experiences have prepared you to be ready for graduate school. So you need to be thinking about, what have I done that has been moving me towards this goal of going to graduate school? And then lastly, you also want to be thinking about, what do you want to do after it's all over? What are your goals after you finish graduate school? These are three questions that you typically will answer in the personal statement. Why do you want to go? What experiences have prepared you for graduate school? And what do you want to do after graduate school is over? So you also have your personal statement. Another area that's going to come up are letters of recommendation. So these are individuals who are endorsing you or saying that you are ready for graduate school. And oftentimes, letters of recommendation come from faculty members. So this is why it's always good to keep up good relationships with your faculty. You want to, be in good communication with them. Sometimes stay in touch with some of your faculty members, because these are some of the people who might be writing your letter of recommendation. So usually it's 2 or 3 letters of recommendation, and you want to think about maybe like 1 or 2 faculty members that you could reach out to that could help you with putting one of these together. Sometimes when you're applying to a program, they need your recommender needs to write a letter, but sometimes they're just going into an application portal and filling out some essays. So you'll find out what that person has to do once you start getting into the application process. I've talked to a number of students as well that sometimes they don't have a faculty member that they feel that could write their letter of recommendation. And it's okay to use someone like a supervisor. So if you had, let's say you had a work study position and you had a supervisor who knows all about your goals and what you want to do career-wise, you could use a person like that as well to be one of your recommenders when applying to graduate school. So usually you want to have some faculty or a previous supervisor who are writing these letters of recommendation for you. Another area that is pretty big when you're applying to graduate school are graduate entrance exams. So the graduate entrance exam is like the SAT, but it's for graduate school. It's meant to kind of show, are you ready to be in this particular graduate program? And there's been a lot of change since COVID. So with a number of different programs, particularly in the humanities and the social sciences, some programs have not been requiring something called the GRE anymore. So sometimes the GRE is the typical graduate entrance exam, but some programs have not been requiring this. That's why it's really important to look at all the schools that you are getting ready to apply to. When you look at all the programs that you're ready to apply to, do they say that you need to have a graduate entrance exam, that you need to have taken, this GRE? That if they don't say that, and not all the programs say that, then you don't necessarily need to take this particular exam. There are some programs where you definitely are going to have to take a graduate entrance exam. All of you that want to go to law school, you still need to take the LSAT. That's something that you have to take. If you're going to medical school, you have to take the MCAT. A lot of the other areas in the health professions, you are required pretty much to take those entrance exams. So there are some areas where it's definitely you have to take it, but it's really good to see, is that required for your program? And then lastly here, you have transcripts. So your transcripts is they want to be able to see, what does your academic record look like prior to you coming to graduate school? And so for your degree that you're completing right now here at Temple, you need to share that transcript. Also, if you got a degree from somewhere else prior to coming to Temple, they often want to see that as well. So you need to share all your post-secondary work, the coursework. You need to be able to share that with programs. So for here at Temple, it's pretty easy. Just go to transcript services here at Temple University, the Office of Transcript Services here at Temple. They can actually be able to send your transcripts from what you've experienced here at Temple University if you're looking for that information. So the Office of Transcript Services here at Temple can help you out with that. But these are some of the core elements of the application process that you are probably going to encounter, and it's good to just always be looking at what the programs are asking for. That will help you to know exactly what you need to make sure that you are included. All right, so in talking about some of those application materials, there was one other thing that we wanted to do, which is to give you an action plan. And I definitely want to just preface what we're about to share right here, that this is just a sample plan. This doesn't have to be your particular plan. We would also call this ideal. This is really idealistic. This is someone with a lot of time to prepare that would execute a plan like this. But it's meant to show you that the application to graduate school should take some time. You should be thoughtful about that process if you can, if you have the time. So this is really meant for somebody who is in their junior year. The second semester of their junior year is when this plan would start. So let's say you're in the second semester of your junior year. That's the time where I would say that beginning that process of thinking about, like, do I really want to go to graduate school? Is this something that I want to pursue? Towards the end of your spring semester of your junior year. Then over the summer, as you're getting ready for your senior year, you could start really looking into graduate programs. You could really start to see, what are the specific programs that I think that I might want to apply to? Do your research on those programs. And you'll find out, do you need to take a graduate entrance exam? For those of you that are going to law school, it might be good for you as you're going into your senior year to really start preparing for the LSAT, maybe even trying to take the LSAT around the summer into the fall if you can. But that's around the time where you might want to find out about these entrance exams. When you get into the fall of your senior year, that's when you're going to really start narrowing down your options and saying, these are the programs I'm going to apply to. I'm going to start reaching out to my faculty, my professors, and saying, hey, I'm getting ready to apply to graduate school. Would you be one of my recommenders when I'm applying to graduate school? So you can reach out to those people around that time. In that mid-fall, you're going to start these applications and you'll start working on your personal statement. You'll find out how long your personal statement needs to be. You'll start drafting that and you'll get some help with maybe putting together your personal statement. In that fall as well, you'll take your entrance exams. Sometimes you can take it more than once, just to kind of see that you get the best score possible for yourself. So you can take that graduate entrance exam. And then usually towards November or December of your senior year, that's when you might really start finishing your applications. Sometimes these applications for master's programs aren't until January or February of the following year. So you might have a little bit of time. So this is just meant to show you a broad application, an action plan for application if you are thinking about graduate school. This does not apply to those who are going into that are thinking about medical school. This plan does not apply to those individuals. But if you're thinking about the humanities, the social sciences, law, this would probably fit with what would be recommended. Bob, I wanted to kind of pause and see, do you have anything that you would add or bring up as an addition to this?
No, I agree. And I'd echo that same sentiment that this is not the formula for everybody. It is quite often dictated by the program itself. So some programs the typical window closes somewhere in December, right? Others may extend into January or February. So you may encounter, if you are applying across multiple schools, some different deadlines. So it'll be important to keep a track of those things and add that to that list of the action plan. So for some, finishing applications could be November, December, and a few other schools it may be, I have one in January, one in February. You might also say, I want to finish them all in December no matter what, just so I can be done for sure. But with this little bit in mind, I think we have another chance for some audience participation of these core kind of documents. And I guess we should add too, some programs, they ask for writing samples. So you might want to keep an eye out for that. Do you have a paper that you've written, perhaps, that you would be willing to share a few pages as part of your application? But if we just focus on these core things, which one of these seems the most challenging? I'm curious about that. Some interesting responses. Yeah.
I almost wanted to jump on the person that was saying they might not want to apply to graduate school right away. And so how to like stay in touch with faculty members. I
Mhm.
think that that's why this conversation is so good right now, is like us talking about maybe you're thinking about graduate school and you can let a professor know, hey, I'm thinking about graduate school and I'd like to stay in touch with you. Could you give me, your email, your best email, so I can stay in touch with you? And in a couple of years, I do want to apply to graduate school. Can I reach out to you and get a letter of recommendation? Also want to encourage that sometimes give it a couple of years and you might come across other people, like other professionals that have been mentors to you that could also be someone that writes a letter of recommendation. So sometimes you'll meet new people that could be someone that could recommend, but stay in touch with the faculty. Let them know that you're thinking about this, even if it's going to be a couple of years out.
All right, great. I want to pause for a second and thank all of you for participating, for actually putting some things in the chat. I appreciate the feedback that you're giving us. Now, to the person that might feel a little intimidated, I don't know how to get started. It seems so overwhelming, the whole process. We agree. I think Mark and I both agree. We've been there. We've done it. And yeah, I think we would agree. It is exhausting and demanding. But right alongside of that, it's important to make sure you use the resources that are available to help you prepare. You don't know it now, but I think you will in a few more minutes. There is an abundance of resources available to you all to help you get through each and every one of these steps and get you to that end goal of applying to graduate school. So that, I think, can help you feel and overcome that initial apprehension. And it's just about connecting to the right resources. Not only are they available to current students, but if any of you here watching this are alumni, these are available as well. So we'll go through a few of these. So the University Career Center, where I currently sit, is one location for help in a variety of ways. Online, through our webpage, there's a whole section about graduate and professional schools. There are links to some of those ranking services and just researching programs that's available there, as well as coaching services one-on-one with all of us here to talk through each and every one of these steps and guide you and keep pushing you to the next one. Pre-professional health studies is an available resource for those folks that are looking to go in the medical direction. Connect with them early and often. The Office of Non-Credit and Continuing Ed is a great resource that Temple has for preparation for all of those entrance exams that are out there that Mark mentioned, the GRE to the MCAT, the LSAT. Scholar development and fellowships advising is a place not only for some help with personal statement writing, but applying to, say, a Fulbright or any other kind of scholarships that are out there. There's an array of them that can be used towards graduate programming. The Student Success Center, and specifically the Writing Center when it comes to writing those personal statements, is a resource for you. The Pre-Law Society, for anyone interested in going into law school. The graduate school where Mark is another great resource. He's going to point out some specifics there for you. And the Grad School Week playlist is the YouTube channel on our Career Center or on the Career Center channel on YouTube, where there is all kinds of videos available that you can watch and learn more and more about this. So hopefully, realizing, hey, there's a lot of help out here will be inspirational for you.
Yeah, and I'm going to jump in really quickly and talk about the Temple University Graduate School. And I will say, you really do want to research programs and see programs that are, what's the best program in the country or in the world that is for what you want to study at a graduate level. But sometimes we do see that undergraduate students or alumni from Temple do go on to pursue a graduate degree, again, here at Temple University. And if that might end up being you, you can actually consult the graduate school's website. if you are thinking about programs here at Temple. So if you just actually go to the graduate school's website, I'm actually going to screen share very quickly here, and you can see it. We're at grad.temple.edu. You can get a lot of valuable information about applying to Temple graduate programs. So if you actually just go to the academics tab on the grad school page and click on this red academics link right here, this is going to give you a lot of great information about Temple's graduate programs and our different schools and colleges. One place that you'll be encouraged to go is our graduate bulletin. Similar to the undergraduate bulletin, there's a graduate bulletin. And in that graduate bulletin, you can get all the information you need on different graduate programs. So when you get to the graduate bulletin, if you go to schools and colleges, if you are interested in any of the schools and colleges here at Temple, even the college engineering, for example, I could actually go to graduate programs on the College of Engineering's page and see all of the graduate programs and get more information about it. So if you are thinking about a program here at Temple, you can definitely go to the graduate school's website and get more information about different programs that are here. So just wanted to make sure that that link was pointed out, Bob, and I'll hand it back to you.
Okay. All right. That was a little bit of a glitch there. Now here we go. Hang on, everyone. There we go. The Career Center, like I mentioned earlier, we offer a range of services. Specifically, if we're talking about graduate school, you can connect with us about exploration, personal statement writing, that resume, getting that up to speed. These are available for you as students as much as you need, and even as an alum for up to 1 year out. And beyond that, a few more times per year, you can connect with us. Our website's listed right here as well. And then lastly, and to conclude, to kind of wrap things up, I just wanted to preview what the rest of grad school week looks like for those of you, if you're interested. Tomorrow, I'm going to have a panel of current, soon-to-be grad students, current grad students, and a recent graduate from the grad program. Student panel where we're going to talk about all things grad school. Any questions that you might have, you can direct right to them. It'll be a nice open forum. Second, on Wednesday, we're going to have the keys to writing a great personal statement. I'm going to bring together some experts from the community here at Temple to give you a workshop about that. And then finally, on Thursday, I'm bringing in some experts on creating that competitive grad school application, really that whole package. These are folks that are either currently a dean of admissions or used to be a dean of admissions. So these are the folks that are going to peel back the curtain and give you a glimpse into what's going on behind the scenes. So with that in mind, I just wanted to open up the floor in whatever form you prefer, chat, or just unmute yourself if you have any questions that either of us can answer for you before we wrap up for the day. And I'll stop sharing so we can see everyone.
And as those questions are coming in, I just want to echo again that here at Temple University, that the Career Center is a really good place to begin the process of thinking about graduate school. Like, really hats off to Bob McMahon and the Career Center team for hosting this grad school week, which is just bringing attention to applying to graduate school. And you can meet with Bob, you can meet with the different staff members there on just beginning the process of applying to graduate programs. So they're a really great office to be able to connect with, and happy to collaborate with you on this session about the application process.
Yeah, there's a question about the recordings if you can't attend. Yes, much like today that we're recording, I am going to record the subsequent ones. As long as you've registered for the event, you'll get a notification when that recording is available. I don't expect it'll be terribly long of a wait, but the way we'll be able to reach you is if you register. So that would be great. If you can come, that would be fantastic. The more the merrier. Tell a friend. All right. I guess that's all of our questions. I'm going to thank all of you for attending. Mark, thank you for joining in with us and contributing your wealth of knowledge. It's been a pleasure. And with that, I'm going to stop the recording.